So hopefully everybody's doing well. If at any time you guys want me to speed up, slow down, go over a point one more time, ask any questions you might have, I really encourage you to do so. Again, these lessons are not for me, even though they benefit me, they help me learn and grow, but it's really about you guys. It's about this community. So truly, I don't care if it's your first time here or your 100th time sitting in a lesson with me. I just want you guys to sit down and actually, be attentive. Like I don't want you being, half in this, half in something else. I know sometimes that's something you have to do, and you have other responsibilities and you really want to hear what I have to say. That's cool. I'm so glad you're here. But also, if you don't have any other pressing responsibilities right now, if you're going to do one thing, just do that thing. So bear with me. My goal with these lessons is to make them short, concise, just something that you can take actionable tools or protocols to improve your overall trading, and broader than that, something that you guys can take to improve your overall life. So hopefully you guys are here with me now and we can jump into it. Always breathing exercise multiple times a day. That's awesome, man. I'm working on that currently. I know how important it is. I've read so many different and listened to so many different journals and scientific literature on how important breathing really is. And yet I still find it hard to keep in the routine. So I am incorporating habits to help me with that. I haven't taken an intentional deep breath, but I did practice gratitude this morning. That's awesome. How is gratitude helping you? How long have you been doing it? I started about 3 years ago doing daily gratitude. Changed my life. All right, friends. Well, let's jump into the lesson. So we're on our last week of our 4-week series on behavioral risk management. Week 1, we went over the psychology of risk in trading. Week 2, we went over managing emotional responses to market risk. Week 3, last week, we went over behavioral finance and risk aversion. That was an interesting lesson. And today we're covering developing a behavioral risk management plan. And I'm excited about today's lesson. It's kind of the capstone of our 4-week plan. And it really just brings everything together on how to actually make a plan personalized to you. It's less technical, more behavioral. We went over technical in the past, but anyway, you can catch all of these lessons on my YouTube channel, the Pursuit Crew HQ. Someone can find it, link it, maybe, I don't know. But, you guys can also see it under John's lessons. I'll link that for you guys here. If you guys want to subscribe, that'd be cool. If not, it's also cool. So let's jump into it. I broke up today's lesson into 2 parts. So again, it's going over developing a behavioral risk management plan. Part 1 is creating a personalized risk management plan. Pretty straightforward. Part 2 is managing emotional risk through behavioral strategies. So that is a really quick part. It's really just kind of an overview of the last 4 weeks. But how do we create a personalized risk management plan in response to our behaviors, our tendencies, our emotions? How do we do that? How do we make a personalized plan that's actually going to work and help us get better? So if you guys don't have any more questions, any more thoughts, let's just dive into it. Again, throughout this lesson, try to be intentionally thoughtful about your feelings, your emotions. Take deep breaths. Just be in the moment for a moment. And hopefully that helps you move out about your day in a lighter mood and something that you guys, I don't know. I just feel we get caught up so much sometimes in our thoughts, sometimes in the moment. And it's not always, being fully present. So just try to be present during this lesson, and let's jump into it, folks. So part 1, creating a personalized risk management plan. That's going to be broken into 3 subcategories. We have understanding behavioral tendencies. So important to understand ourselves and what we do. The second part is setting risk parameters, pretty straightforward, and continuous improvement through self-assessment. Also such an important aspect of not only our trading careers, but also our life as a whole. So understanding behavioral tendencies. So behavioral tendencies refer to psychological patterns like risk aversion, impulsivity, or overconfidence, which influence your trading decisions. It's essentially your behavioral tendencies. It's pretty self-explanatory, but oftentimes we're really not paying attention. If we're not journaling things like how we feel, what I would recommend is essentially writing down your plan, and then through the trade, writing down your emotions, and then at the end, writing down, I actually set my plan to be a 3-to-1 risk to reward, and I actually got out at a 2-to-1 because I was fearful that we were going to draw back quicker than normally anticipated, so I got out a bit earlier. Something like that, where you can look back at and start to say, you know what, I'm actually fearful a lot of the times during my trades. How can I set my risk management plan to help with that fear that is a behavioral tendency of mine? This is where we really start to get personal, because some people are going to be overly greedy. Some people are going to be overly fearful. Other people are going to be a mix of that. And so it is wholly personal to you. So just keep that in mind. Again, back to my comment a couple minutes ago about being self-aware, being in the moment, being present right now. It's a really good practice. So identifying these tendencies allows you to build a risk management plan that accounts for your emotional biases, leading to more effective decision making. Again, just being aware of these things is going to allow you to make a risk management plan that is personalized and that you can actually go through, instead of just taking something off the internet, which can be useful, but don't just take that and implement it directly. You have to be able to adapt and change that plan to your tendencies and your behavioral tendencies. So I recommend completing a self-assessment to identify personal tendencies such as fear of loss or overconfidence. Once you have those behavioral tendencies established, use this information to adjust your trading approach by setting boundaries that address these emotional patterns. So, for example, if you are overly fearful after getting into the trade, maybe a implementation for you would be to walk away from the computer and just have your TP levels and have your stop loss levels. And then once you enter the trade, you walk away. It would be a good idea to have notifications on your phone, maybe connect your broker to your phone. And so you don't end up getting your TP hit and then they retrace and then you hit your stop loss as well. And then you're into two shorts if you are in the long. So it's obviously you don't want to just be blind to what's happening. But if you find yourself being overly fearful once you enter that trade and you're really not following your plan all the way through, just walk away. Go do whatever else you need to do. I'm sure you can find something that's probably beneficial. But these are little implementations that would probably really help you if you're overly fearful. Excuse me. Had a big protein shake for breakfast this morning. All right. So moving on to setting risk parameters. Risk parameters are pre-established limits that define the maximum risk you're willing to take per trade, including stop loss and position sizing rules. So pretty straightforward. When we make risk parameters, we just want to make really measurable pre-established ideas before getting into the trade. So it's game planning, essentially. You're war gaming going into the battle. So you have to be aware of this stuff. And truly, if you want to find long-term consistent success in your trading career, you're going to have to come up with your exact position size per your stop loss. So for example, if you're on a $1,000 drawdown on your prop firm and your maximum position sizing is, let's say for 50 ticks, it's going to be 4 micros, and for 75 ticks, it's going to be 3 micros. And just using those two, say if you're averaging around like 60 ticks per stop loss, just having those two in the back of your head, saying, okay, I'm not going to go in more than 4 micros at a 50 tick stop loss, and I'm not going to go into more than 3 at a 75 tick stop loss. You really only need 2 to bounce around. If I don't see many people going from 25 tick stop losses to 150 tick stop losses. It's just not very common. So if you come up with 2 for yourself, prerequisites essentially about getting into the trade. And as well as having your position sizing, you should also have your risk to reward already known before you could jump into that trade. And that might be a 2.5 to 1 to you, that might be a 2 to 1, that might be a 3 to 1. Obviously you want to I believe when I was working with Top Step, the CEO told me that it was something like they saw the most success in traders through their brokerage, their prop firm, at a 2.2 or 2.4 to 1 risk to reward, something like that. Interesting statistic, but essentially you're just trying to make a measurable game plan that you can stick to before going into a trade blindly. The less you're measuring these things, the more you're leaving room for emotional responses to happen when you jump into the trade. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Longs look spicy right now. I don't have the charts pulled up. Let me know if you get in though. I got one more day of $200 to hit another payout in Top Step. I usually always lose the account on this one more day, and I'm nervous because of this. If I get this one more winning day, I will break the cycle losing on my 10th day. Well, how about this? Since you always lose on the last day, don't make it the last day. Say, you know what, I have 3 days, because it's not the last day. It's just you have to have one more consistent trading day. Essentially, I'm assuming that's what the rule is for Top Step. So just think of it as, you know what, I actually have 3 days. I'm not going to even plan for a payout until next Monday. And if you're able to do that and really take the weight off yourself, it's not just like, okay, I have 1 or 2 trades to make this happen. It's like, no, you don't. You have 1 or 2 trades to not blow the account. That'd be good. But essentially, you just need to take a deep breath, sit back, and really look at this at a different perspective and say, you know what? I've been putting a lot of stress on myself for no reason. I know I'm a consistent trader. I can really pay attention to this stuff. I just end up breaking my rules because I put all of this emotional weight on myself for no reason. So slow down, just focus on good A+ setups. And more than that, yes, more than focusing on your good A+ setups, you should focus on preserving the capital that you have. Your risk management plan is more important than any trading strategy in the world. And I would reckon that many millionaire and billionaire hedge fund managers and traders alike would agree with that statement, that your risk management plan is going to be more important than your trading strategy. So just take that weight off your shoulders. It's you only need one more day, but you have all the time in the world to get that payout. So moving on, did we go over all of setting risk parameters? I don't know. Let me know if I didn't. These parameters help you stay disciplined and prevent emotionally driven decisions during volatile market conditions. Again, I mentioned earlier, once you are able to measure this stuff well and you have a predetermined plan, you can go into the trade analytically like a machine, and you don't have to really let all these emotions stir up, and you don't really have a good plan. And so you're like, okay, I don't know how much I'm going to lose on this trade. I should probably get out here. Once you know exactly how much you're going to lose in a trade, it's already part of your plan. You don't have to really worry about anything. You just execute and walk away. So establish clear stop losses and position size limits before entering any trade. Adhere to these rules consistently to avoid making decisions based on your emotions. Again, just to recap what I was just saying. Does anyone have questions on that? Because it's a very elementary, a very foundational idea, but I feel like it gets lost so often. And I just want to make sure that you guys are totally tracking, like make sure that you guys are really implementing a measurable and actionable risk management plan for yourself. If you're not, you're setting yourself up for failure. So continuous improvement through self-assessment and being self-aware as a whole. We've been talking about this through our series in psychology classes when we talk about our EQ, our emotional intelligence and emotional awareness. And so you can gain more from my past YouTube videos on that. But the idea behind self-assessment is so important. So here's a few points. So regularly reviewing your trades and the emotions you experience helps you fine-tune your risk management plan. So just like I said, it's going back to our initial point on understanding your behavioral tendencies. The more you're able to look back at your notes, have these measurable anecdotes and say, you know what, I am actually super greedy. Like every single time I'm in a winning trade, I look to scale in more instead of letting the trade ride with my initial plan. And once you're able to find these behavioral tendencies for yourself, you're going to really be able to start to fine tune your risk management plan. And maybe your risk management plan isn't as traditional as a normal risk management plan. Maybe part of your risk management plan is jumping into a trade with all your prerequisites already in line. You have your game plan, and then your risk management plan is to walk outside after you enter that trade to make sure those emotional feelings don't build up and make you do something dumb. And so again, it's just going over the idea that this is so personalized to you. And I often talk about how the discipline, the psychology behind trading is more important than your strategy as a whole. So you have to understand that if you are not making these personal, if you're not being self-aware and making these personal risk management plans, you're really just setting yourself up for not a great time. Truthfully, I've seen it so often, and it sucks. And I've been in the same shoes where it's just like when you really don't know how to set yourself up for personalized risk parameters, you just have so much room for these emotional responses, and it's rough. It's really hard to not blow your account, to not over leverage, to not do all these bad things. And we know it's not good, but it's just so hard to do it if we're not setting ourselves up for success. So continuous improvement through self-assessment. Regularly reviewing your trades and the emotions you experience helps you fine-tune your risk management plan. We just went over that. So at the end of each trading day, this is a recommendation. At the end of each trading day, reflect on any emotional reactions during trades. Adjust your risk parameters accordingly to assure they align with your emotional tendencies and improve your trading discipline. I feel like that's just such a good, when I was writing this out, I was like, yeah, that one's good. I'll say it one more time. So at the end of each trading day, reflect on any emotional reactions during trades, like excess fear during a trade once you enter it. Maybe it's fear before you get into that trade. Maybe it's excess greed. You feel yourself wanting to scale up more and more. So at the end of each trading day, reflect on any emotional reactions during trades. Adjust your risk parameters accordingly to ensure they align with your emotional tendencies and improve your trading discipline. So it's straightforward, guys. This stuff is foundational. It seems elementary at times, but it's the stuff of gold. It's so important. So that was part one. Part two is really quick. So if you guys have questions, if you guys want to slow down for a second, if you want me to expand on anything, let me know. If not, we'll jump into part two. Nice Shosky taking that dub. I'm self-aware. I admit that I'm a degenerate gambler. Hey man, as long as we're self-aware and we're striving for improvement, that's what matters. That's what matters, Tony. All right, friends. Well, we got someone typing in the chat. So as we wait, take a moment, take another deep breath, have a sip of water, stretch out a little bit, feel your body. How you guys doing? You guys planning on working out today? Did you already work out? What are we doing for our bodies today? What are we doing for our mental health? What are we doing for our spiritual health? Are we doing these things, folks, or are we neglecting them? Are we aware that all this neglect is going to build up over the years, and it's going to, at one point, you're going to tip over that pendulum and there's a point of no return? Are we all aware of that? Hopefully we are. We're starting to get the idea that we need to move our bodies. We need to train cardio. We need to train resistance. We need to eat healthy. We need to do these things, folks. Did 35 minutes on the rower this morning. Let's go, dude. Rower just kicks my ass every time. I do rower for HIIT workouts, so I'll push as hard as I can for 30 to 45 seconds, and I'm just dead. Favorite form of cardio would be swimming. If you haven't done like lap swimming before, I die every time. Like, it's so hard for me, and that's why I love it so much. I'm just in it. But I don't have a pool near me, so I need to sign up for a new gym. I'm actually looking for a new gym. I'm at Planet Fitness right now. Can't believe I'm at a Planet Fitness, to be honest with you guys. I went from an MMA Olympic style gym in Alaska where you walk in, there's no heater. It's like minus 10 degrees outside, and it's like 80 degrees in there from everybody sweating and just getting after it, to a Planet Fitness. And I walked into my Planet Fitness. I'm like, man, things have changed in my life. But yeah, I like swimming, and I also like getting on the stationary bike. That's always good for me. I love to run. Well, I should say I don't love to run. I would love to run, but I got some pretty good injuries from my time in the service, so I'm trying to get those things figured out. I was in Alaska for 2 years, around two. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Time's flying. But yeah, I love Alaska. It's beautiful. All right, folks, we're going to jump into part 2 here. Man, I love Alaska. I was in the Army. I was a infantry paratrooper up in an Arctic division. And man, I broke my body doing that stuff. I was trying to go Ranger and do the whole thing in SF. But God had different plans for me. Now we're here. So part 2 is managing emotional risk through behavioral strategies. So it's, again, just this capstone. We've, over the last 4 weeks, we've gone over quite a bit behind our behavioral strategies, our behavioral risk management plans. So managing emotional risk through behavioral strategies. So a big one, and we talk about it often in our psychology classes, is just reframing how you look at your losses and your gains. Our perspective, as we know, whether it's subconscious or conscious to you, it's pretty intuitive to most of us to know that perspective changes everything in life. If you are really struggling and you're able to, whatever it might be, it doesn't matter. Like for me, for example, we'll just run with my life for a bit. I was, to tie it back to Alaska, I was pushing hard to go Ranger. If most of you guys don't know, they're kind of the tip of the spear for direct action force in the Army. They were doing the most amount of raids during ISIS and that whole Islamic State issue, to put it nicely. And they were the tip of the spear. They were conducting something like 6,000 raids a year. And so that's what I wanted to be a part of. It's a hard thing to get into, and I was pushing really hard, and I was new to the Army. I didn't know how to advocate for myself, to tell, the people in charge, cadre, that, hey, my injuries are not just like, hey, I'm having a rough time. It's like, there's some, like, I just tore ligaments. I just broke my bone. And the lack of medical care and, yada, yada, yada. You can make a ton of excuses for what happened, but I was having a really difficult time because I had set myself up for going into RASP, which is a Ranger Assessment Program directly after airborne school, and my body was broken at this point. I couldn't do what I wanted to do. Bilateral plantar fasciitis, like you wouldn't believe, felt like my feet were ripping in half. At that point, I tore both meniscus on either knee. I had not yet broke my ankle. I'm trying to think. There's a few things that happened. Shoulder was jacked up, wrist was jacked up, knees were jacked up, both feet were jacked up, both ankles were jacked up. And then at that point, when I was in airborne school, I was like, I knew that I could not go to RASP in the condition I was at. And mentally, I was struggling so hard. I was like, I can't believe I just pushed so hard and did all this stuff just to like get so close to where I saw my buddies getting on the bus to go to RASP, and I was getting shipped off to Alaska in a less high tier unit. And I was just, pretty beat up. I was beating myself up about it. I was in a bad mental space. And on the flip side, as soon as I gained the perspective that that wasn't meant for me, whatever journey was that way was not God's plan for myself. And that mental shift of saying, you know what, these things are happening to me, but I'm so grateful that I still have a strong mind. I'm so grateful that I can still move. I'm so grateful that I'm able to get this experience and know what hardship feels like through pushing something through something really hard and just not making it at the end. And all these experiences really shaped who I am now. And when I was able to make that mental shift of like, this is a bad thing that's happening to me, to this is something that I can really grow from and learn and help other people that may be in similar situations. And after that switch, guys, I'm telling you, it is life changing. I'm still in the same spot. It's like those injuries are still persisting, but I'm no longer being an asshole to the people around me because of it. I'm no longer, shitting on myself. I'm no longer being depressed about some aspects of my life. It's all changed just from a mental shift. Nothing in reality had changed. So the same thing, the same lessons can be applied when we talk about smaller things like losses in the stock market. If you're able to shift that perspective from, instead of saying, damn, I can't believe I just made a losing trade. Like, I tell myself I'm not going to over leverage and I just over leverage, to saying, sitting back and be like, okay, how can I move about this in a way that I can take this loss as a learning opportunity rather than a failure? And if you're able to do that, the emotional weight that you get lifted off of your chest and off of your shoulders is just, it's life changing. It is perspective changing, which in turn is life changing, guys. So I highly encourage you guys, when you experience failures, when you run into things that don't go your way, when your expectations are not met and you are met with disappointment like nothing else, you have to shift that perspective from saying, I can't believe I just did this again, I'm not going to be able to do this, to saying, you know what? Like, this is actually going to be such a good learning experience. I know I need to go through this to learn this. So let me just apply what I just learned to my next trade. And if you're able, truly think about it, if you're able to do that for every single failure, every single loss in the market, every single blown account, every live account that you drain, if you're able to do that every single time and reframe that perspective into a learning lesson, your life will change financially in the stock market, but more than that, spiritually, emotionally. You're going to be such a more healthy individual if you're able to do that. Does that make sense? Whew. Man, I'm sorry for talking so much. Almost got lightheaded there. I was talking so much, but hopefully that makes sense, guys. I have one more, small portion, but I just want to get that point across. Is that well received? Is everybody tracking with me? Ron, my man, Fort Richardson in 82 to 84. Were you a airman, or was it Army then only? Because now it's a joint base. It's Air Force and Army up there. Hell yeah, Ron. We were stationed at the same base. I wonder if I was in the same barracks as you, because they were old. They were old. They probably are. I don't think there's new barracks on that base except for Air Force side, of course. They get new stuff. That's crazy. That's cool. Thank you for your service, Ron. I bet they have the same dining facility, same barracks, same companies. That's funny. Do you remember what unit you were in up there? I was 3509th. That's cool. Old grandpa was LRP back in Vietnam. David Goggins body. Yeah, man. Oh man, I'm getting better though. Like truly, like on a real level, like not just mentally. Like mentally, I'm so much better as well. But like on a physical level, I'm getting so much stronger. The feet and ankles are still pretty jacked up. I just got MRIs done, and the doc wants to do surgery to tighten up all the ligaments. But I think that's a step in the right direction. No, I forgot. It was 40 years ago. Reagan was president. Yeah, dude, sometimes I forget the unit. Like people will ask me like, "Hey, what unit you were?" And I was like, 3509. Yeah, free. And that was only a couple of years ago. So, yeah, I'm sure my memory will be gone shortly. But that's awesome. That's crazy. I can't believe the same unit up there. They changed it too. They're a totally different division now. They used to be part of 125th, which was a part of Hawaii. We wore the same patch, then we just switched patch. We did the whole changing ceremony thing. Anyway, not important. So hopefully you guys are tracking. Hopefully that little last tangent made sense about reframing these losses to something that is necessary and is beneficial even. And once you're able to make that mental shift, guys, life changing. So I just want to touch on one more point that we went over. We already went over setting risk parameters, but these pre-commitment and emotional control, these ideas are so important. So predetermine your entry and exit points for each trade to avoid emotionally charged decisions in the heat of the moment. Again, it's just going back to that point. You have to make measurable, actionable steps in your risk management plan before you jump into a trade. It's so foundational, and yet I feel like a lot of us aren't doing it. In fact, I know a lot of us aren't doing it from the DMs I get. But seriously, guys, know exactly your position size, know where your stop loss is, know where your TP is. And then you can, once all this stuff is figured out, and you know that your behavioral tendency is to get fearful and exit your position early, once you know all these things, you're able to execute like a machine. You're able to get into that trade. Your stop loss is already set. Your TPs are already set. And you know, because you're fearful often, just walk away from the computer. Have those notifications turned on your phone. And once either your stop loss hits or your TP level hits, then you can walk back in and pull everything else out. It's, I don't know. These personalized plans are so important. Just not enough people are doing it. So record your pre-commitment strategies, including your stop losses and take profit levels, in a trading journal before each trade. Relay this or rely on this plan during execution, sticking to it even if the emotions rise during live trading. Again, this goes back to my initial point when we were talking about having a trading journal. It should be before the trade. It's like, okay, lot size 4 micros, stop loss 50 ticks, 2-to-1 risk to reward, whatever that is. And then when you're in the trade, it's like, I feel like scaling in. I feel like because I'm feeling greedy, honestly. Again, goes back to the self-awareness, the how did I put it? The self-assessment that you do for yourself. Say, okay, I'm feeling fearful during this, but I'm going to stick to those predetermined risk parameters. And then after the trade, like, hey, I'm really glad I stuck to those, my plan. It didn't work out inevitably, but I'm actually able to learn from the experience and make a better decision next time. Or vice versa, you could say, you know what, I didn't stick to my plan. I wish I did, but I'm going to learn from this. So kind of breaking that into a 3-part deal: before the trade, during the trade, after the trade. And if you're able to, especially that third part, I believe is so important, because you're able to look back, and 2020 is always, or what do they call it? Totally missing the phrase, but gosh, now it's going to eat me up. What's the phrase? You look back, rear view. What is the phrase? You guys know what I'm talking about. Something about 2020 vision in the past. Someone definitely knows what I'm saying. Hindsight. Thank you. Hindsight is always 2020. You just saved my life. I would have beat myself up. Hindsight's always 2020. So that third part of your journaling is so important, to be able to reframe those potential failures into something that is truly a growing opportunity, something that you can really take and do well and just implement and continue to grow. And I love how James Clear, is it James Clear? Atomic Habits? Yeah, 30. Yeah, it is. 36.5 times better every year. If you're able to get 1% better every single day, it's going to change your life and your trading career in your overall life, your relationships. It's just so important to shift that paradigm, to shift your perspective of saying, man, I cannot stop losing, and be like, man, this is a lot of education I'm getting. I'm just bringing in this education on the amount of losses I'm taking, and I'm just going to reframe that and do better next time. So hopefully, we just went off notes totally at the our part 2 there, but hopefully the points still came across well. Hopefully you guys took that lesson well. I was excited about today's lesson. Again, it's a capstone of our behavioral risk management plan series, and hopefully it all makes sense. But that's all I got for you on the lesson side of things today. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to open it up to Q&A at this time. It doesn't have to be about your risk management plan. It can be about anything. It can be about how to get started in the gym, your diet, how much protein you should be getting, where to improve in your relationships, how to improve in your relationships, whatever it is. And if I don't have the answer for you, I promise I will get the answer for you. Some questions I cannot answer. Those are only known to God, but in time we will know. And but man, I think that's it. I don't see anyone typing, folks. I'm glad you guys joined up. I really do appreciate you guys. I'm glad to see bigger and bigger classes almost every day. It's cool. This community's been good for me. I know it's been good for our team, and I think it's good for you guys too. It's like, it reminds me of true community, which is the goal. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's been fun. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited about this whole thing, guys. This whole thing that we call life. That's cool stuff. It's cool stuff. Just big thank you, bro. God bless. God bless you. Appreciate the kind words. We're all in the family. Hell yeah, brother. La Casa Nostra. Nostra. How do you say that? Let me know what that means. Did I just cuss on the stream? No, I'm just kidding. I've been trading for 2 years and haven't been able to be consistent. Had about 10 PA, blown them, and still not able to find my peace. And I understand the perspective you're in. I don't know how many prop firms I went through. Well, actually, I didn't even know what prop firms were when I started, and I started in options, and you wouldn't believe how much money I ran through. This is when I had no expenses. I was in the Army, and I just had a bunch of stacked up cash. And I'm like, oh, what's this trading thing? Like, my friend's making tons and tons and tons and tons of money. Like, I could do this too. And I cannot tell you how many live brokerage accounts I went through. It was like ridiculous, but that was a shift for me, where in one day I'm like, holy crap, I just made $600. It's like, whew, this is crazy. And then the next day, like, I'm up $500. I was like, I just made my paycheck in 2 days. I'm like, holy crap, I found it. I was like, I found the thing. The next day I blow the entire account. It's like, okay, I just lost $1,500, but I know that I'm going to make more money because I can just put more money in. And there went the cycle of this just consistent gambling mentality, where I just continued to blow accounts. And then I found prop firms. I'm like, oh, this is life changing. I don't need to blow my live accounts anymore. I can just throw money into these prop firms for $20, $50, $75. And it's the same thing. If you do not change that mentality, it doesn't matter if you're on a live account or a prop account. It's just this idea that it's really cheap, you're really not risking that much, and you're just going to continue to go. And so I think it's so important for you to sit down with yourself and make a risk management plan. And when I say that, I'm not just throwing that word out there. I mean, literally sit down. You need to budget your money. How much money are you bringing in per month? What are your expenses? Once you have that figured out, it's like, oh, I'm actually losing money monthly. It's like, okay, trading is not on the table right now. The only thing I'm going to do with my trading side of things is education and paper trading, until I can start saving up money and all other expenses are saved for, and I can invest in a little bit of my retirement fund. I can invest a little bit into vacation money. And then once you have your income and your budget figured out, and you can say, okay, I can set aside $50 a month to trading. Well, what does that mean? That means you get one account for your prop firm. If you blow that account in the first 7 days, guess what? You're paper trading for 3 weeks until that next month. And that's what a real risk management plan should look like for the people first starting out. Truly, if you don't have a budget, but you're trying to trade with the big dogs out here against massive players in the game, you're going to get eaten up and spit out. You really need to take a look at your overall income and expenses and come up with a balance sheet for yourself, for your personal finances. And then that's the minimum. And then you can jump into it and be like, okay, I can afford a $50K prop firm account with this prop firm broker, whatever you want to call them, company. And then you can make a risk management plan for that account. And you can say, okay, well, I can afford, the big guys are leveraging less than 1% of their capital per trade. But obviously, if you have a 1,500 drawdown, that's not reasonable. You're going to be trading, 3, 4, 5% of your account per trade. It's like, okay, well, how do I really mitigate risks? Because that's heavy trading, even though it may not seem like it, because you see people in the chat like, hey, I just made $2,000. And you're like, what the F? I just made $70 and this doesn't feel like enough. It's like, okay, well, your account cannot handle that. Your personal finances cannot handle scaling more. Your 1,500 drawdown can't handle more. What you need to do is sit down, make a measurable and actionable risk management plan saying 50 tick stop loss is 4 micros, 75 tick stop loss is 3 micros. I am not going to get into a trade unless I know that my TP level versus my stop loss is a 2.2 to 1 risk to reward, or whatever that might be for you. But if you're not doing these things, it doesn't matter what strategy you have. It could be a 90% win rate, but that, because your risk management is so poor, you're going to blow that account. You're going to get in that gambler mentality, and your finances are going to look like shit. Frankly, that's the truth of it. And so that's my 2 cents to you guys. Like, if you are going at this because you saw it on social media, you're like, this is a good way to make money quickly. You're right, but there is so much work that goes into making that money quickly. There are years and years that go into making that money quickly. And so you have to set yourself up for success. And I've seen people make money. Like, really, I've seen people make money not knowing even what futures NASDAQ trading is. And a month into it, they're making money. And other people are 3 years into their journey and they haven't made a dime. Why do you think that is? I'm willing to bet that's because of their mental perspective on it. What does their psychology and their discipline look like? I would bet you that it's not a educational, a learning disability on either side. What it is not the technical analysis part. It's how much you can stick to your plan. Because I can make it for each and every one of you a really well thought out, personalized plan. But at the end of the day, it won't matter unless you guys are able to stick to that plan. So sorry to go on a rant. It's just, this is the truth of it. And again, I'm not speaking from a pedestal here. I went through it, guys. I went through the losses heavily. And again, I didn't even know what a prop firm was when I started. And it just ate me up. I don't know if you guys heard of Traders Evolve. I know a couple of our members from there, but I was trading with Danny before he even came up with the company name. And before he started anything, he was teaching me, and he's like, yep, jump on a broker, put $1,500 into it. You can do it with this broker, and we're going to trade options, and you're going to take the same calls as me. Like, okay, cool. Well, holy crap, I'm making so much money. And then same week, holy crap, I just lost so much money. It's just one of those things, folks. Let's see what else we got going on. Do you think people with addiction issues could have issues trading? 100%. Yes. I don't think it's impossible. I think the power of the mind is so much more powerful than most people believe. Like, it's incredible. We've been studying the brain for 100 years of really good science, and we are just scratching the surface. It is so powerful. Right now, a statistic came out like a month ago. Who knows how accurate this statistic is? But as far as efficiency goes, we know this to be true. Some of the most powerful supercomputers right now, our brain is 1,000 times more efficient on energy use than those computers are. It's incredible. Are you kidding me? That's just so crazy to me. And I could throw so many dumb little facts at you guys that it's just mind blowing to me, but we can accomplish anything. So if you have addiction issues, I truly believe you could trade. Just know it's going to be a really hard journey, and you're really going to have to lock in. And your discipline can not only be when it comes to trading, you're going to have to lock in across your life. When you say you're going to wake up at a certain time, you're going to wake up at that certain time. When you say you're going to take a cold shower in the morning, guess what? You're getting in that cold shower no matter what. If you fail to do those things and you have an addictive personality, I can almost promise you that you're going to fail in trading as well. It's one of those things. It's one of those things. But I believe you could do it. I truly do, with all my heart. Sorry, chat's kind of trying to catch up with you guys. I have back tested my strategy so many times and the stats are outstanding, but I'm not able to execute the trade when the trade is in front of me. Later, I have the tendency of chasing the price. It's been almost 4 now, and I'm still making the same mistake. I journal, I read, but then at some point I give it again and again. How? Again, like I told you guys, I've seen people actually come out with multiple payouts in their first 2 months of trading, truly. And then other people, again, it's 4 years they're into this, and something's not clicking. And I can promise you that is, I don't want to make generalizations. I think life is so much more than the black and whites, but from what I've seen and what I've read and what I know, I would really put some good money on the idea that it comes down to the personal discipline in that person's life, whether they're successful or not. And it's just the fact of the matter. Honestly, to me, I believe that to be a true statement. And so when you talk about again, like just what I was saying, you've tested a strategy that is, the stats are outstanding. Again, I could hand you a strategy that is the best in the world. But when it comes down to it, if you're unable to stay disciplined to do it, it's not going to matter. I was disciplined to pass an account recently. Hell yeah, man. You got to stick. And when it comes to those things, we're able to do some things. And then when these emotions start to build up and we're in it and we know we're in it, and all of a sudden those primitive emotions start coming out, that's when it's like, holy crap, this discipline that I'm lacking and not going to the gym and my diet, it's like, that's where it shows, is when we're in this moment. Like, these primitive emotions are real. They are so real. And there's good things that can help you when those emotions arise, like the physiological side, like grounding, like being self-aware, practicing those emotional awareness exercises, and having a proper risk management plan. All those things are necessary, but they're not sufficient. They're all necessary to build yourself up for a good career when it comes to trading, but they're not sufficient. What is sufficient, what will bring you to sufficiency, is the discipline to stick to that. And I'll say it again and again. If you are lacking discipline in other aspects of your life, I promise you it's going to bleed into your trading journey. And it's just a fact of the matter, friends. There are so many things I believe I'm not doing right. Well, again, it comes back to that cognitive reframing. If you're able to shift those things that you know you're not doing right, and daily say, okay, how am I going to turn this into an actionable learning idea, a learning lesson for myself, and improve tomorrow? But if you're not improving on those things, even trying to improve on those things, you're just setting yourself up for failure. It's, but yeah, just like C Breezy just said, it's hard. It is hard. And if anyone told you that this is going to be easy, they lied to your face, or they just did not know themselves. And that's just one of those things. Someone said, what is the step-by-step way to create discipline around trading? Journaling's good. It's a good start. What journaling essentially does on a cognitive level is give you self-awareness. My dad always told me when I was growing up that you cannot you cannot manage what you are not measuring. So if you're not measuring how you feel, you're not going to be able to manage those emotions. And I'm not talking about, really measuring your emotions, like, okay, like coming up with a 10-point scale for yourself. And I'm like, I was on a 9.2 today. No, but you have to be self-aware. You have to be able to measure those emotions to some degree to know that, okay, I have a behavioral tendency to feel fearful when I get into a trade, or before I get into a trade, or I feel excessively greedy, or whatever it might be. So journaling is good. It's a really good start to build self-awareness. But I'll say it again. It is more than just trading. Discipline is not a trait that is only attributed in your life to one thing or another. It is across the board. How you do one thing is how you're going to do everything. So what I would recommend truly, and you guys have heard me talk about it before, is make a morning routine that you will stick to without fail. And if you're able to do that, the momentum will build throughout the day. If you make it easy for yourself to do the things that you said you're going to do, you will find success. And then you can start to incorporate harder things to do. Like, for example, my morning routine, without fail, every single day. I wake up, I sit up in bed, I drink my water that's I have set aside for me. It's anywhere from 12 to 16 ounces. It's hydrating my body. I know it's good for me, but there's one win. I woke up, well, that's a win too. That's a big one. But on a discipline level, I woke up, I had my cup of water, I opened my window to get sunshine on my face, and I made my bed. So I got water, I opened the window, and I made my bed. So within the first 5 minutes of me waking up, I just had 3 wins in my day that I said I was going to do the night before, and I did them today. It's like, okay, well, there's something that shows discipline. Once you have that momentum built up in the morning, there's so many books about this too. It's a common theme when it comes to discipline, is setting yourself up, especially the morning, for easily accomplishable goals. And so I already did those 3 things. What's next? For me, it's a cold shower. So it depends on my schedule because I have medical appointments and stuff that I have to run to. And so sometimes I shift that cold shower around, but it's happening within the first 4 hours of me waking up. Typically, it's right after those first 3 small wins. I go into the shower, crank it as cold as it goes, just sit there, breathe, get it all over my body. Whatever part of my body that I don't want to get cold, I move that part into the cold water. Does that make sense? I don't know if I said that right. But I just choose to do the hard thing. If it's my spine, it's typically right your thoracic spine, that your upper back, that I really want to keep warm when it's really cold. And so I force myself to just put that part of my back directly against the water and just let it go. Getting off topic, but that is what it takes to start to build discipline, is these small implementations, these habits that you can really start to build on, is something that's going to change your life. And so habit stacking is super important as well. And for me, it's like, okay, once I drink that water, then the habit stacking, then I open the window. Once I open the window, then I make my bed. And so if you're able to get into that idea of habit stacking, you're going to set yourself up for so much success. And so if you trade in the morning, like I think most of us do, once you start building these habit stacks of discipline, you already have all this momentum. And then you sit down at your computer and it's like, okay, well, let me look at my written out pen and paper risk management plan in front of me. It's like, okay, well, I just need to first determine my entry. Once I have my entry determined, and if the market hits that level, I know where my stop loss is going to be. I know where my take profit level is going to be, and I know my position sizing. All I have to do now is click a button and sit back. And so you already did all these things that you said you were going to do. The discipline momentum is rolling. You just have to sit back. And then when the emotions come up, when it's real, when that greed and the fear really start to take over, then you can start to implement these other things. Like we've talked about, the grounding techniques, feeling yourself in the chair. What does your butt feel like in your chair right now? How do your shoulders feel? Are you a little tense? How does your breath, or how is your breath right now? Is it shallow? Is it in your chest? Try to take it down into your diaphragm. Really breathe. And once you start to do these things, like the physiological sigh, that really big inhale through the nose, followed by another sharp inhale through the nose, and then a full exhale through the mouth. Once those emotions rise and you start to implement this stuff, and you can actually in real time feel those emotions coming up because you're practicing self-awareness in a form of meditation, it's like, oh, I can really control this. All I have to do is wait for my TP level to hit or wait for my stop loss to hit. And so I say all these things, and it's still not easy. I can lay out the perfect plan for you, but it's not going to be easy. Just know. But that also helps me, knowing that it's not going to be easy. It's like, okay, well, I know this ain't going to be a walk in the park. It's like, all right, time to get ready for the fight. And that helps me a lot. It's just implementing discipline in every aspect of your life, continuing that momentum into your trading day. And then when you feel those emotions arise, taking a step back, working on grounding, self-awareness, feel those emotions come on. Don't react to them until you're able to take a deep breath and feel your body and just relax. So hopefully that wasn't too much of a tangent for you guys. Hopefully this is some actionable stuff that you guys can actually take and help. What do you think? What are we thinking? Was that good? Was that all crap? I don't know. I feel like some of that was good at least. Nobody? Maybe it was all just crap. Maybe it was all crap. Maybe I'm just sitting here yelling at you guys. Oh, we got someone typing, thank you, Bahama Llama. Thank you. Oh, yes, you guys saved me. Sweet. Alrighty, folks. Well, if you guys don't have anything else for me, I think that's it. I appreciate you guys tons. And hopefully you guys really do take heart about the things I say. I think you should take everything anyone says with a grain of salt, but it's your discernment. It's your choice to pick out the gold and throw away the crap and apply what will work to your life. And I'm not just gleaming all this stuff from my experience. A lot of this is coming from actionable tools from scientific journals and well-respected figures in the psychology aspect of things, the neural aspect of things. Just there's a lot of good stuff that I'm gleaming from, and hopefully this is being picked up by some of you guys. So yeah, honest money, I love it. It's a what's the word? Gosh dang it. I love when you just have something to say and it just won't come out. It's just on the tip of my tongue, but it's gosh, it's right there. Now I just ruined the whole lesson. That's the only thing you guys are going to remember. Yeah, it's gone. I'm sorry. It's gone. But yes, I do love what I do. And this stuff really, really does help me a ton. So I thank you guys. If I think about it, you're just going to see me randomly at everybody in the chat with whatever phrase I was looking for. But I appreciate you guys a ton. I really do. And this community really is about something bigger than just trading. So hopefully you guys are applying everything in our wellness lessons, our risk management lessons, our psychology lessons, the wise words from Jojo. Like, if you guys really do listen to all the things he says, there's some really good stuff to pull from his lessons as well. So apply this stuff to your life. Be good to one another. Treat your neighbor as you would want to be treated, and love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. So I appreciate you guys tons. Go drink water, go work out, go eat the healthy thing, go do what you know is right, even though it's hard. Go tell your loved ones that you love them. I will catch you guys later.